Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Tune Review. This is the press conference reaction live. I know it's a bit later than normal, but there's been a lot of stuff going on YouTube today with obviously the Arsenal stuff and things like that. So I think a lot of people have been watching that. So I decided to do a bit of a later one, and joined by Jade, who is drinking wine. It has to be said, but she's all right to do this show. Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm all right.
Hi,
I'm all right. Now, obviously, we've got a big game tomorrow, and I've been on a couple of Liverpool channels today. They're all wanting to know, what we think or what I thought of Newcastle's chances down there tomorrow. I was pretty blunt with them. I said that all week I've been saying that it's going to be a 2-2 draw and things like that, and I think that's me heart ruling me head a little bit. And the one I did at tea time tonight, that came out and said predict the result. Now went 3-1 Liverpool. So it's funny because I was on a podcast this morning with a Liverpool fan, and he told me that Diego Jota was out. He was injured. And then I go on the one at tea time, and they tell me that Jurgen Klopp has declared that he's fit. So unfortunately, he plays, and they reckon that he might actually, instead of the big three up front, he may go with all four tomorrow. So we'd have Mane left, Salah right, we'd have Firmino through the middle, or Jota through the middle, and either Firmino or Jota playing in the number 10 role. So how will we handle that, Jade?
I think the simple answer is we probably can't.
Yeah.
Simple answer. I think we do well when we're playing like Burnley, who have got one option, is high in the ball, in the box, is going to get in the air. We've got big defenders that can clear it. Anything when it comes to our feet, I think we struggle a lot. The silly mistakes that are made. I just hope to God Kraft is nowhere near that starting 11 tomorrow, because I think we really will be screwed. And I think the likes of obviously Ritchie and Murphy, who aren't like traditional wing backs or defenders, are going to get caught out quite a lot. So I think we're going to pray that he doesn't do that. But knowing Klopp, he wants a result, won't he? After everything that's happened this week, he's going to want to put a team out that gives Liverpool fans something to shout about. So I think it'll be very, very tough, and I can't really see getting a result, to be honest. Even I'll be happy with a draw now. I'll take a draw right now, but I think we'll struggle.
I think when we look at tomorrow's game, I mean, a lot of people are saying it's a free hit, and sometimes I hate that saying because it gives the players an excuse to get out of trying a little bit harder. But I do genuinely think tomorrow is going to be very interesting, because, like you say, we've got a situation where Liverpool knew nothing about this Super League. They want to repay the fans, so they'll probably be a very, very much up for the game. So we're going to find it very, very tough from the off. And I'm petrified of what that man will say to the team before we go out, because I'm at a loss as to his team talks or what he says at half time, etc. If we have a look, this was what he said about Ryan Fraser. Now, excuse me, Ryan Fraser for me is a pain in the arse, right? Yeah. And he's come out and said that obviously Carl Darlow needs a small operation, but also Ryan Fraser. Okay, now I can bet your bottom dollar, and I'll put any amount of money, that Ryan Fraser is fit for the Euros with Scotland. I'll bet any 100%. Amount of money, and he will not get injured during those Euros either, because something I heard word a couple of weeks ago that things were not great behind the scenes with this guy, that he didn't really want to sign for us. There was a problem immediately when he came into the club. He's been moaning ever since, and it's basically causing the same sort of problems that he did at Bournemouth. And Eddie Howe just said, well, bugger off then. But Steve Bruce hasn't done that. Now, the skeptical side of me in this whole thing says that Ryan Fraser's not really injured and doesn't need an operation. It's an excuse for Bruce to leave him out. That's just the cynical side of me. He probably is injured. He probably does need an operation. However, just the fact that he goes away on Scotland and he plays like a genius and comes home and he's injured.
Exactly.
So what do you think of that?
I think that the guy's heart's never been in it since the D game. Like, I haven't seen the Ryan Fraser I saw at Bournemouth. I was so excited when he signed to see Wilson and Fraser kind of come together again. But then you see his head goes down when he comes and plays for us. Like, that when he got sent off that time, I was like, you don't want to be on this pitch. You don't want to be playing
There was
in
no
this black and white
reaction, was
shirt.
there? There was
Not at all.
no.
Just like, oh well, I'm just gonna mosey off now.
Yeah.
And I don't care how good you are. I don't care about the manager. I don't care about the owner. If you do not want to put on that black and white shirt and give your 110%, I don't want you on the pitch. That's fine. You can piss off and play for Scotland for all I care. If you're not giving 110%, you need to have that professionalism to forget your manager at that time and say you're playing for the fans, you're playing for the badge. He doesn't give us that. And I have been really disappointed because I was really looking forward to him playing for Newcastle, but his heart is not in this. I don't understand how he can go from playing so well with Scotland and then come back and like 2 days later he's injured, has to have operation, but he was fine 3 days ago. I just wish, honestly, the communication from this club is shocking. I know they're not going to air all the dirty laundry out to every time, but there's something going on with that kid that we're not understanding, and it's a shame because he is a talent. He could, if he put his head down and worked, he could be a real kind of cult hero up here, because I think he has got the attitude and the talent to do something. It's just at this moment his attitude's letting him down. He just doesn't want to be here, and that's fine. Then go. That's all I have to say. If you don't want to be here, go.
Yeah, a lot of the Newcastle fans, including myself, when he signed, were really looking forward to the prospect of a front three of St Maximin, Fraser, and Wilson through the middle.
Hasn't had the chance. He hasn't had the chance. Well, Paul, has
Steve,
he? Come
yes,
on.
I know. Yes, I do. Yes, obviously, Steve's never had the chance, the lying bastard that he is. However, I mean, he combined so well with Wilson at Bournemouth, and I thought, great. We've got a real, a strike force that's played with each other, apart from St Maximin. But they know where each other's going to be on the pitch, and it could work to our advantage. It really could. Unfortunately, it's not to be. And as I say, the cynical side of me just says that something's not quite right with Fraser. Now, whether he is injured or not, that's here or there. I don't think he'll be here next season, to be honest.
I don't.
Annie, good evening to you. He's also said not a chance in Cat's hell. You'll get something. Well, you keep saying that every week, my little friend, and you are wrong. Also, I'd just like to point out, while you're on this show and we're live, how did Bristol City get on against tiny little Wycombe Wanderers? Tiny little Wycombe Wanderers. I believe you lost again, Annie. Oh, dear. Never mind. Yeah, disgraceful, isn't it? Terrible, poor old Bristol City. Dream on of the Premiership, my friend. Chippers says, Bruce yet again didn't sound confident at all today. Gets right on my tits, says Chippers. Kendo, JL at his best position at right back will keep them from scoring. Well, I doubt that very much. Chipper says, we all know Fraser is having an up now, so a few weeks down the line he will be fit for the Euro, simple as. That's if he's having an operation. But like I say, I'm a cynical twat at times, and I'm afraid that the stuff that's gone on with Fraser, I don't believe half of that crap. Bede, good evening to you. He says, Rio Ferdinand, what a hypocrite this man is. Why doesn't Rio and his friends put their hands in their pockets and buy Man United? That's a good point. After the comments he made about Newcastle United fans putting their hands in their pockets, it's kind of swung back and bit him in the arse, basically. But let's have another look at some more quotes from our glorious leader. He says this on Liverpool. It's about getting that balance right. We're going to have to defend well, but have to find a threat against them too. Certainly when we've got Alan, Miggy, Joe and Callum, we pose a threat. So let's hope that continues. Now, what I'm staggered about there, Jade, is that he's mentioned Joe Linton in the same sentence as St Maximin, Miggy and Callum Wilson.
Yeah, he seems to see something in this kid that unfortunately I don't. To be honest, this I thought was probably one of his most sane ones. But let's be honest, I could come out and say that. We've got to defend well, but we've also got to attack. Like, the man's footballing knowledge for being in the game for so long is dire. There is no tactics. It's like, we defend well, but we've also got to attack. Like my 4-year-old niece or someone could say that. Do you know what I mean? It's a simple game of football. You have got to defend well, and you also got to attack. But there's just nothing in his mind to think. Like a couple of games when we beat Leicester, when we had Rafa, and I could listen to him talk about his tactics. And when he bought Shaw, and he was like talking about why he bought him, how he wants him to go forward. Like, I could listen to that all day. Ask this kid, he's like, he defends.
Well,
great. Like,
we have to defend, then we'll have to attack, and then we'll defend again. That's football, Steve. You know what I mean?
You played FIFA a couple of times, mate. Congratulations.
Yeah, like, most of the time we'll be defending, I'm afraid, tomorrow. Yeah. And I don't think anybody expects anything else.
It'll be 11 men behind the ball, hoping for the best. When someone slips, but...
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we know Liverpool have been dodgy at home this season. They've lost, at one stage, they had lost 6 on the belt at home. And like I said to the Liverpool lads today, I said, it just seems that when Newcastle turn up to play anybody, suddenly that gives the opposition a spark and they
100%.
suddenly look like Brazil. Because they were a bit concerned. They said they're concerned about St. Maximin, obviously, and Wilson's pace through the middle. And I said, yes, be concerned about that, but it's all about us getting the ball to them in the first place. And that's what we don't seem to do. And, I said to them that realistically, you're going to be looking at your attackers more than your defenders tomorrow. I mean, they don't have a pacey central defence. I mean, they've got, I think Fabinho is going to have to play in central defence tomorrow alongside that. I can't remember his name now, the Czech player or whatever he is. But him, they were talking about him as well, saying that he's a slow starter, but once he gets up to full pace, running wise, he's fast, but he's not quick off the mark like Wilson and St. Maximin. So I believe we have a chance to get at them. We know they're a bit dodgy at the back, but it's how the manager sets us out. Potato Gamer says, why do you hate Ryan Fraser? Hasn't played when our best players have been fit. I don't hate Ryan Fraser. I've got nothing against the bloke. I just think his attitude has been wrong since he's been at the club. You can't tell me that he goes away twice for Scotland, plays so well, scores goals, and then he comes back to Newcastle and he's injured. Now, the bottom line is the sources that I've had about Ryan Fraser's attitude have been spot on, and they've been spot on with stuff they've given me all season. So I've got no reason to doubt them. And, it's starting to leak from various aspects of the club now that he just doesn't want to be here. And I'm sorry, but I've always said all along, or even as a kid and as a Newcastle fan, if somebody doesn't want to play for my club, then go. Don't 100%. Stick around and just take money off the club for nothing. We've had too many of those charlatans in the past. We don't need another one. So Ryan Fraser for me, and I'm not the only one that thinks like that. I mean, clearly you do, Jade, and hundreds of other Newcastle fans do. And they can't understand how he can go away and come back and be injured again. It doesn't make any sense. Kendo says, can't blame Fraser to some small degree. Bruce has mucked him and everyone else around with no consistency in playing opposition. I agree with that sense. You mentioned it before, Jade, playing St. Maximin and Fraser. He's come out on TV and made an absolute arse of himself, Bruce, by saying he's never had the chance to play them. So on that aspect of things, I kind of agree.
Yeah, I do get it, because I think obviously better players around you, you're going to be a better player yourself. But he's been in the game. He's not a young lad. Do you know what I mean? He's been in the game a long time, and he should have the professionalism to at least do the bit he can. I've seen glimpses of him this season where I think, God, if he gets a good run, he will be very useful for us. He runs at the back line, he gets to the byline, gets crosses in. He always does seem to know where Wilson is when they're both playing together. And it is unfortunate. You can't blame Bruce in a sense, because there has been times where he could have played all three, but he didn't have the balls to do so, and we do blame him for that. So I'm not saying I hate Ryan Fraser. I was excited when he came in, but this club, I'm very passionate about this club, and I will defend it no matter who's in charge or who's the manager. This club, as Rafa said, is not a stepping stone. I don't care if Ryan Fraser does not to play Premier League football for a season to attract someone else to take him away. No, you should have fucking stayed with Bournemouth if that's the case. We're not a stepping stone, just to kind of get your career moving. You pay 100% for the shirt, or you just don't play it all for me. I don't care how good you are. Maxi, if his attitude was the same, he could have been a brilliant player. But if you're not giving me 110%, I don't want you at this club. And it's unfortunately simple as that. And I just don't feel like his heart is really in it. And that's fine. If it's not the club for him, that's fine. Then just please find another one as soon as you can.
He struggled last season to find another one, didn't he? So it's interesting. Geordie says that I'd rather sell Fraser in the summer and bring in Willock on a permanent, because he's a player who we could build a side around with ASM, Wilson and Almiron. Totally agree with that. Annie's back saying Lansbury can fuck off. You're having a tough night there, Annie. Ryan says a man on death row more optimistic than the fraudster coward Bruce. Yeah, he just doesn't inspire you, does he? Whenever you hear him talk. And he says, no, he's mentioned Joe Willock. Jesus, no, he wasn't on about Joe Willock. You can't tell me that he's mentioning Joe Willock, who sits on the bench at the minute. And, he meant Joe Linton, quite obviously meant Joe Linton, and because Joe Linton is one of Bruce's favourite players. We know that. So, Willock's sitting on the bench. He's not going to say, put him alongside the names like Wilson, etc., because he's not in the side. And I've got a horrible feeling that Wilson may sit on the bench to start the game tomorrow, but that's everybody's worry. Chipper says Steve Bruce couldn't balance a bacon sarnie on his nose, never mind balancing our team. And that sounds like Joe Linton is starting tomorrow. Exactly. And that is a massive, massive worry for me because, we know that Steve Bruce we can never, ever judge what he's going to do, Steve Bruce. And I think that this thing with Joe Linton and Wilson, does he think Wilson's fit enough to start the game? I mean, for me, Jade, I'd start Wilson. And if he tires after 70-odd minutes, then you change it. But give him the start. And that's how you build up match fitness, really, surely.
Of course, you've got to start him, haven't you? Because obviously what Liverpool are saying about their back line not being the most solid and kind of being a bit of a slow starter, you've got to get your Wilson in there while he's fresh to kind of... There's no point in him, if we're 2-0 down, getting to come on to change the game, because that's never going to happen. We know that probably Maxi won't get a full game again. I'd very much doubt it. He does take a lot of knocks. I do think he'll come off, and then if you've got Wilson up front by yourself with the likes of Joe Linton, nothing is going to happen. Absolutely nothing. So you need to get him in, get him behind him as soon as possible. I think you need to get him, run at him, because I think they will find him hard to manage if he's obviously he's not been playing for a while, so he'll want to kind of give us something, because I do think he is one of the players that will give his all for this shirt. And you've got to start him. There's no doubt about that. But whatever goes on Steve Bruce's mind is beyond me, unfortunately. I think I just don't know.
Anybody's.
I don't know.
Kendo says if Mike Ashley had positioned for the Super League, Rio would have defended him to the hilt. Yes, he probably would have. Geordie said a 5-year-old could say the same. That's how you play football. Exactly. Going on about, attacking, defending, defending. Jesus Christ.
Well, but also attack. Well done.
Exactly. Good evening, Peter. I've just dropped a like on your video, mate, for the your preview. Really hope Willock starts, but no doubt he'll keep Voldemort in the side. This is the thing. I mean, everybody wants to see Willock alongside Longstaff just to see what it'll do, because I'm worried tomorrow that they are going to cut through us, Jade, right through the midfield, because Shelvey's not up to it. And it's funny because Shelvey, he gets interviewed so many times saying, it's his body language and things like that. And it's absolute tosh. Chris Waddle had a body language that made him look lethargic back in the day. But my God, he's not... he was able to do something. Shelvey just doesn't offer anything now.
Not at all. I think when obviously he had that Zoom army, didn't he? When he asked her the question like why you were so lazy, and he was like, "Look at my stats. It's just my body language. Look at me stats." And I was like, "No, I'm looking at what you're producing on the football pitch, mate. I don't care about your stats." I was like, "You'll have one decent ball all game, and if that, and the fact he'll kind of if someone running at him, he'll try and get the ball. If he can't get it, just stops. He's like." Oh, well, I tried. Yeah. And what you're going to let Sean run for 2 men for 90 minutes? Like, he's not going to cope with Liverpool's midfield. We haven't got a creative midfielder to get it forward. And now Hayden's out. We haven't got a defensive midfielder to kind of hold up play or give them a bit of support either. So I am really worried about the midfield tomorrow. Yeah. I think we'll be overrun, unfortunately. I think Willock, obviously, he gives me a bit of like a Wijnaldum vibe where he likes to make the late runs into the box, but he does also get back as well. But I don't think he'll start him either. Like, what the kid got to do? He scored 2 times on the bench. Yeah. Like, what's he got to do? But for some reason, in Master Bruce's
my worry is, Jade, that if he leaves, if he does bring Willock in, it's going to be for Longstaff. It's not going to be for Shelvey. No. And that's my worry, because Longstaff at the minute is more defensively, he's playing more defensive. He's doing a lot of running around, winning balls, and I thought he did very well against West Ham. The problem is if he takes Longstaff out the side for Willock, that means Shelvey is the man in there to do all the running around defensively, and he's not that kind of player anyway. Genie Wijnaldum could have an absolute field day tomorrow, getting forward. But we'll see. Bede says, Paul and Jade, do you think all this scheming by the made-up 2-6 will open the door for the takeover to fly through? I do believe it'll give us an advantage, and I'm led to believe that there is going to be some news regarding the takeover sometime next week. Again, this is just, I'm not saying it's going to be definite, but hopefully we'll hear some news on it. Now, I don't know whether that news is positive or negative, so, I don't know, but hopefully we'll hear something regarding the takeover back end of next week, and fingers crossed for that. Geordie says Voldemort isn't a lazy player, though. Yeah, he's giving a wink and emoji as well. Yeah, I know you've been a bit facetious there, Mr. Geordie. Let's have a look at something else that he spouted off today. This was about Matt Ritchie. I'll just take that comment off the screen. So say, his experience and his enthusiasm was the main reason we changed to get Matt into the team. We know the values and the principles he sets, so he's done very well. It was a great ball for the goal, and with that left foot, he gives us another dimension. Now, the problem is, he's sort of taken all the credit for putting Matt Ritchie back into the side, but yeah, he left him out for weeks on end. So, where do you go with this guy? Because he just seems to want to take all the credit for stuff that is blatantly obvious on the pitch to all those fans.
That's it. Like, it's what, we're nearly at the end of the season now, and it's just took you now to realise you've managed Matt Ritchie for like 2.5 seasons now. Like, and now you've just realised. But it's simple things like us, the fans, obviously haven't got Bruce's like managerial experience, as he likes to call it. Mm-hmm. We can see these things, and somehow he can't. I'm not saying any of us are qualified to run a football club or to manage a team, but things to us are very simple. You need to change. And I think what really annoys us with Bruce is that he has been so lucky this season. And I mean, he's like had luck in his back pocket, but he's going to take all the praise for this. All the pundits will be like, well, what are you whinging about? I told you to keep you up. And it's not that at all. He's been lucky. He's been so lucky. And we should have been nowhere near where we are right now. He walked into a team that was pushing mid-table top 10 easy. And he's just completely destroyed everything and took her down to a place where we should not be. These players are better than this. I think I've seen a couple of comments saying, oh, you haven't got a very good squad. And I'm like, excuse me, this is the best squad I've seen in quite a few years. I haven't seen like individual players like we have, and he's just ruined it. He really has.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the, being on them Liverpool channels today, a lot of them comments were coming in on their live shows that, Newcastle on paper have a really good squad. Now, for Liverpool fans to say that, I mean, they mentioned a couple of players like Lascelles and everything, but I don't know where they got that from. But, they mentioned the quality that we have in that squad and that we shouldn't be down there. And it is clearly down to the manager. They asked me, what I thought of Steve Bruce, and I gave them my honest opinion, which you can imagine what that was. But you know what it is? This team, the squad on paper, I mean, I've always said all along that I want to see a 4-2-3-1. I think that is our best formation for the players we have available, but this manager just doesn't play it. And he's, again, like you said in the press conference there, he's coming out with bullshit like, we had to change the system, we had to change the formation to fit Matt Ritchie in. Well, no, not really, because Matt Ritchie could play in a 4-2-3-1. He could play at left back. He's a very capable player at left back.
Yeah, he can play anywhere, really.
But the longer he plays in that position, the better he becomes. It's a bit like saying Jacob Murphy is a right wing back, or a right back for that matter. I truly believe that he can be a very good right back given the proper coaching. He's got a great engine, good crosser of the ball, and I think he is a perfect player to play that position. But it's all about the coaching. And he says it's Kabak. That's him. I just went blank there for some reason. Good evening, Stephen. Hope you're well, mate. Ryan says Fraser's been a proper letdown performance and attitude, without a doubt. Totally agree. Ross says Ryan Fraser is a flop. He doesn't fight. And again, that was proved, like you said before, when he got sent off against Sheffield United. The 2 bookings he got were pathetic, to be quite honest. And the fact that he didn't even challenge the referee, he didn't even look at the referee to kick off. When a player gets sent off, you at least see a bit of fight in them, saying, well, hang on a minute, even if it's a dead certainty for a sending off, there's still show a bit of fight. He just walked off the pitch as if he was relieved.
He's like, oh, thank God I don't have to spend another 60 minutes with these wankers. It was kind of literally like that. He looked like, he's like, oh, yes, like, great. And that's so frustrating, like, because the Sheffield United game was obviously one of our best chances to start pulling away at that time. And then because we lost there, we got dragged back into the shit again. And I do think, even if he was on the pitch, I still think we would have got beat because we were terrible. But having that extra man would have at least give us something. But honestly, it's just really disappointing. Like I say, I was really looking forward to seeing what he can do with Wilson. And it just has been a bit of a letdown. I mean, I'm not the type of person that won't give him a second chance next season if he still wants to stay and you can get him fit. I think under a different manager, we'll see what he can do. But I don't, unfortunately, without a takeover, I can't see that happening.
Well, the thing is, the Bournemouth fans probably said that as well, under a different manager. So he's come to Newcastle and he's just, well, there you go. Adam, I think you've been on the drink, mate. 0-0 until the dying minutes with Maximan to score in the dying minutes, calling it now. Yeah. I'm not sure what to make of that, mate, apart from...
it won't be 0-0 to the dying minutes.
No, I expect there will be goals tomorrow without a shadow of a doubt. Tangy, good evening. Here's the thing. If the attitude is we are concerned about what the other team is going to do, we lose all focus on what we should be doing. And that's basically right. I mean, that's how it's been all season for us. We've been more concerned, or Steve Bruce has been more concerned about the opposition than he has about his own team. And that's what pees me off about this man in his press conferences, bigging everybody up. And then the opposition manager saying, oh, well, Steve Bruce has done a great job. He's what bullshit are they watching? And it just make a complete arse of themselves. Kendo says, who's all rooting for Luton Town on Sunday? Who are Luton Town playing? Or they might be playing Bristol City, actually. Yes, they are. I've just seen the comments below. It's kind of a stepping stone, though. Whatever, Annie.
Don't say that to me. Don't send us.
Yeah. She's had wine. She's had wine.
Don't make me drive to
Kendo, that's unacceptable behaviour, says Annie. So obviously Luton Town. You're making a name for yourself, Annie, going against us all the time. He's a good kid, really. Trainson, you're right, Annie. We hate the cheat that is Henry Lansbury too. Never forgotten his antics at Forest that night. Who can ever forget that? Do you remember that, Jade, when we were in the Championship and he was diving left, right and centre?
I do. I hate that kid. Like, every time I see his face, it literally enrages us. I'm just like, oh, honestly. Yeah, he's not one of my favourites. I've got a top 5, I think, of people that I really hate, and I think he's up there with them.
Well, we'll get that list off here in another show, definitely. Geordie says, how are the Luton? And he says, Trainson, what's worse, his antics against you or him deliberately getting sent off against Wednesday?
Us.
Of course, it's what happened to us. Bristol City doesn't matter to us. We don't care about that. Trent says the club has decided to man Mark Shelvey tomorrow. He's called up Ricky Tomlinson to do the job. Yeah, exactly. Ricky Tomlinson could just stay alongside him and definitely man mark him. Ryan says, go on.
Sorry, managers seeing John Joe Shelvey on the team sheet and thinking, yes,
exactly.
Easy midfield guys. Just you run yourself around. I don't get it.
Pathetic, really. Shelvey's a lazy bastard. Spends more time playing golf. Tom says Newcastle win tomorrow. Well, good lad, Tom. You keep the positivity going. Kendo says I'm going for a 3-0 to Luton. And he says you could put me in the midfield and I could mark Shelvey sitting on an armchair all game. Yeah, I mean, even opposition fans know. Even opposition fans know how poor he is. On Carl Darlow, Carl unfortunately has had to have a small operation on his knee, so he'll be out for a few weeks. I can't see Darlow coming back this season, Jade. I really can't. I think he'd be on his way in the summer, if we're honest. Yeah. And I don't really blame him. I mean, he's proved this season that he's good enough, and I think he's good enough to be a first-team keeper to another club.
It is, yeah. It's a nice problem to have, but it's also very hard to keep both keepers happy. When you've got 2 very good keepers, it is hard to try and keep them both happy, giving them the game time, because you want to have one keeper have a good run to get his kind of confidence, which Dubravka has now, I think. I will be very, very disappointed to see him leave. I think he's done a very good job for us. I'll always be thankful. But for me, it's always been Dubravka that's been my number 1. But what I worry is the fact that our number 2, yes, he's a Geordie lad and I haven't seen much of him, but played Newport, that save that Mark Gillespie made, when honestly I've never seen anything like it. I was like, oh, the poor kid. It was terrible. He
actually looked all right in the Morecambe game, though, didn't he? The game before.
He did better, yeah. He did all right. Yeah. And then that you could, as a Premier League goalkeeper, I know he hasn't obviously played in the Premier League, but you don't make mistakes like that. That was bloody awful. And that's what worries us, because obviously Dubravka we found has been quite prone to injury the time we've had him. And the amount of shots that our keepers and defence face, you're going to need someone solid to take his place when he's not injured. And I think Darlow does deserve to be first-team keeper somewhere. I really do believe that. He's been excellent. And it will be sad to see him go, but that's my worry of trying to find someone else to replace Darlow. And then probably the same thing happen again. He might have a good run. They go away. So it's a good kind of issue to have, but
It's a
at the
good
same time,
problem, I know, but I mean,
yeah,
Freddie Woodman's got to come back as well, hasn't he? And I think
I love Freddie.
they think
Yeah,
highly of Freddie Woodman, so he's doing all right at Swansea as well. So Swansea will probably want to sign him, and that's the thing. You know, will he want to come to Newcastle and be on the bench for a couple of seasons behind Dubravka, or will he actually, you know, want first team football and then just say, right, bugger it, I'm away? You just never know.
that's the problem.
And he's not very happy with Kendo. Geordie says Willock is a player who has a bright future ahead of him, while the likes of Shelvey and Hendricks' careers are pretty much done and dusted. Yeah, I mean, before long we'll be starting to call Newcastle United's, St James's Park an old folks home again, like we did in the days where we signed like Stuart Pearce, John Barnes, Ian Rush. You know, they'll be playing on wheelchairs. It's shocking. Peter says, luckily I didn't have a drink when I saw that Zoom Army video with Shelvey. Otherwise, I probably would have spat my drink out, particularly when I heard what he said. Yeah, we know you're pretty prone to doing that, Peter, at the right times. So this is another one, and it's Callum Wilson and Fabian Schär. It's been part of Callum's rehab that he takes it easier on a Thursday, so that means he gets like most of the week off. Yeah, because we only train a couple of times a week. Yeah. But he's perfectly okay too. Fabian Schär's worked extremely hard and trained all week, but the weekend might come a bit too early for him. It's good to see him back. Yes, definitely, because I think his form was getting better. But just what he's saying about Callum Wilson, it doesn't give me the impression that he's going to start tomorrow.
I mean, perfectly okay. I mean, Bruce is very good at these cryptic press conferences where he doesn't really give too much away. He just leaves like, yeah, we're fine. It's perfectly okay. Like, so is he okay to start? If he's okay, he should start. If he's been training, but you're giving him Thursday off, but you're probably giving the whole squad Thursday off as well. Like that doesn't surprise me. Really happy to see Schär back on a personal level as well. I like to see him on the pitch. But
without a doubt,
he's a great defender. Like he lost it a bit for me. A couple of games he kind of lost his way and he didn't he didn't care, but when he's on his game and he gives the shit, he's spot on, and he literally is probably one of my favorite players under Rafa. Like when he was going forward, he was really good at the ball, his feet carrying it forward, and I think the baffling thing that we've got this defender on loan, and for some reason not recalling him while we've got this many out is also baffling. So it's good to see as many back as you can, because I think the last couple of games are really going to need all the help we get to get over the line.
I don't think we can recall the Jean. I think that was in the agreement. So the Spanish club obviously knew what they were doing there. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we don't do anything properly. For me, Fabian Schär, he was done for me last season. I'd had enough. His attitude was all wrong. He wasn't playing very well. But he's come back this season and he looked like the player of old, getting the ball and actually bringing it out of defence and running through the midfield with it. It was just fantastic to watch. And I think when he's fit, I probably think that if he continues with a back three, I think that Dummett's the man to come out. And he'll go with Schär, Fernandez and Clark, which I think...
Which is a shame because, Dummett's done really well.
It is, but I think those three are our... Yeah, I think they're our three best centre backs, though, which is unfortunate for Dummett because
great centre back. He's more of obviously the left back, but I do like to see him on the pitch.
I mean, I don't think he's done a bad job at all at centre back, to be honest. I mean, I always thought long term he was going to finish there. That would be his long term position, but it hasn't turned out like that at the minute. Chipper says, "Why does Bruce want to spend 20 minutes on Willock when he can't get an hour starting 11?"
Warms the bench, doesn't
it? All. And so no apology to Ritchie for that argument. No, he says that he's praising Ritchie. Yeah, he just like to brush it under the carpet. It would have been nice. Kendo says Steve Bruce did the honourable thing and accepted the apology, having given on himself. But remember, Steve Bruce is a lovely man. He's got a lovely personality, and he's just such a nice man. Yes,
very
exactly.
Got to give him
he's a twat. He's a twat, is what he is. And the things he said about the Newcastle fans this season, I'm certainly not prepared to forgive him, and I don't think a lot of people are, to be honest. And
he's not one himself.
He can't get back at Michael Bruce. Yeah,
you could. But he win Champions League next season, I still wouldn't forgive him.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
No, I know. I to dream.
No. Yes,
don't
quite clearly.
Hope from us.
And he says Trent, so now pay him off if he leaves and now throw a party in Bristol City Centre. He's obviously talking about Lansbury. Yeah, but you stuck with him. So Tony says, I think the big 666. Yeah, actually, no, we don't want Lansbury. Jade, come on. I think the big 666 should be docked 50% of their TV revenue and it'd be given to the football pyramid they seem so concerned about. Or was that just a facetious public opinion play? You know what it is? I mean, I've said my piece on the ESL, and I've done a video about what I think should be the punishments. I believe that they should start on negative points next season. How many, that would be up for the Premier League to decide, and a transfer embargo for maybe two years or 3. I think they need to throw the book at these owners. We've seen tonight that the Premier League, the 14 teams that didn't know anything about this, have now come out and said that they want the chief executives and the chairman of the Big Six to resign and leave the positions. This isn't going to disappear very quickly, and I think that there's a lot more to come on this Super League, Jade.
Yeah, I think what the football fans don't forget, they literally don't forget. If you hit a club, they're never going to forget it until there is something kind of retribution that comes out of it. What that's going to be, who knows? As we know, the Premier League don't react very quickly on issues, so God knows when we'll find out. But I think it needs to be done sooner rather than later, before things do get ugly. When you've seen Arsenal tonight, great turnout for that. But as again in the middle of the pandemic, you need to kind of stop those things happening, really. But if that was my club, I'd be there. I'm not going to lie. Like, if that was happening in our club, I would be there. But it's
a lot of people have said that.
Kind of tell exactly communication again. Explain that you're doing something, so we know that it's being taken care of. Like, but I've got a horrible feeling it'll be all forgotten, brushed under the rug, and we'll move on. I've got a horrible feeling that will happen, because it's like, oh, you had a little bit of a spat with your big 6, but it's okay. Come back into bed. Let's go and spoon. Like, it's kind of that kind of relationship.
Let's go and spoon.
Literally, that is how Richard Masters looks at his big top 6. It's awful.
Yeah, it is. Like, but I have a feeling that
you didn't leave, so it's okay. It's just a little glimpse. Like, no, you need to punish these, but then won't. It's so frustrating how to get treated to a different standard than the rest of it. And it needs to stop, and I hope this will show them that it does need to stop and they'll be punished correctly.
Well, I think Richard Masters and Hoffman are struggling with sleep at the minute, because I think I really believe that they'll be going for them next. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. Ryan says, well said, Jade. Bruce is the luckiest manager going. Tunza says, rumour has it the takeover was stopped by the big teams, as if it had gone through one of the so-called 6 would have had to be replaced by Newcastle, as it would have had so much money. Exactly. But, this is all going to come out in the wash in this arbitration without a shadow of a doubt. And he says 5-3-2 is working though now. Yes, to a degree. It certainly wasn't working against West Ham in the second half last week. Absolutely not. We were terrible. Beat says, if takeover doesn't go through, do you think Bruce will see out his last year of his contract?
I think he'll get another one.
Yes. Yeah, I do as well.
Unfortunately.
I genuinely believe that we wake up in the summer to a lovely little announcement.
6-year deal, like Pardew,
yeah, oh God, can you imagine?
No,
I think I would cry.
I feel sick. Like, I actually feel sick.
I think I would actually cry. And the final one I've got from his press conference was Alanson Maximise okay. Thankfully, he's trained all week. It was a kick to his ankle, but he does take a few of those, so it's going to be a constant battle, but he's okay for tomorrow. Yes, it's going to be a constant battle. Of course it is, because teams are going to target him. But if you're putting that out in a press conference, then, Alanson Maximine's ankles are made of glass. We know where to get him, lads. We know where to tackle.
It's honestly, again, I don't know what he's like. Everything's just okay with Steve Bruce. Nothing's ever like, oh, he's going to start. We're going to have a really good go. It's like everything's just okay. And I'm if Steve, it's not okay. It's like, you know that meme of the dog that's sitting in the fire saying like, I'm fine. Like, that is literally Newcastle United. Like, we're not okay, but in his head, he believes like, oh, we've got these players back, so they're going to save me arse. Like, we had Saint and Wilson playing together for a while, and for a few games they couldn't produce anything because it wasn't in a system that worked for them. And if you don't know your best system by now, after nearly 2 years of management, you shouldn't be managing the football club. It's as simple as that. And he doesn't know his best team. He doesn't know his best formation. I doesn't think he knows what a formation is. He hides the 11 players that are available at the time onto the pitch and goes, run around and score a goal, lads.
And then he
That is
puts Andy
literally,
Carroll on for 30 seconds.
yeah, go on, waste some time, son. Like,
Yeah,
it's
it's
bizarre
pathetic.
behaviour for a manager.
Ryan says we have a decent squad, but the worst manager the Premier League has ever seen. Mark says, great show, mate. Thanks very much. And I've gone way, way far apart. We've got loads of comments coming there. Jesus. Stuff, Paul, you're full of shit. Well, that's lovely. Isn't that lovely?
Thanks, Kev.
Yeah, what a lovely, lovely fella. Bella, good evening out there in Germany. I hope the weather's treating you very nice over there. James Brown, not the singer, it must be said. Ryan Fraser is the sort of person you wouldn't want to be in the trenches with. His attitude is appalling. Damn right. Kendo says Liverpool should be penalised by having Bruce as manager for a full year. It's worse than automatic relegation. Now, I did put that to the Liverpool chaps. Yeah, I did say that maybe they should have him for a year over a 6-year period. And if you stay in the Premier League, then fair enough. Good luck to you. Trainson said, if we played 4-2-3-1, Paul, who would be your sitting midfielders? Well, it's funny you should ask that, because my sitting midfielders at the moment with the squad we have would be Hayden and it would be Longstaff. Matty or Sean, to be fair, and they would be my sitting midfielders. I thought that there was a spell last season when Sean played, or under Rafa, when Sean played a lot with Hayden, and I thought they played very, very well. So for me, I would love to see them sitting. And it would we'd have 4 players up front who then could really, really go on the attack. And he says, Adam's had a few Somerset ciders. Wow. Okay. Kobe, good evening. Everyone has a go at Joe Linton this season. Not many at Fraser. In my opinion, Joey has done better than Fraser this year. And I know Fraser's been injured, but when he plays, he hasn't done much. You know what? You've got a point there, Kobe, to be fair. And I think, if we look at that, I think Ryan Fraser doesn't get the hammer that he's due is because he never plays. And he hasn't exactly set the world alight when he has been on the pitch for us either. But again, we'll have to see what happens with it. Jordy says Steve Bruce has been more concerned about his apple pie and custard than football. Good point. Chipper's thing regarding Fraser, who will spend money to sign him giving off this season? We will be stuck with him with another season on big wages. He's got a point. I can't believe I'm agreeing with him again. You know what it is? He's right.
He talks football, he talks sense.
Yeah, well, let's not stretch. Let's not go too far, Jade. Come on, this is Chippers we're talking about here. I think, he does... that's the thing with Newcastle. We've done this for years and years where we've brought in a player on massive wages and it's turned out to be a complete flop. And like Chippers says, who's going to look at Ryan Fraser this season and think, oh, yeah, he's had a fantastic season. Let's go and sign him.
Hot. Someone in Scotland that's actually seen him play.
Well, yeah, I mean, a Scottish team could come in. That's not a bad shout, actually. Maybe a Rangers or a Celtic, if he's lucky. But hey-ho. We'll have to see what comes. What on earth is Steve Bruce in here? Well, you get positive comments by top coaches when you offer them some of the wife's apple pie and custard and a tenner. Cheers, Steve. Always a pleasure to have you on the show, mate. Yeah. Adam says, just speak your mind, Jade. Adam says, crazy to think how we did better last season with less depth in our attacking positions, and Shelby was our top scorer. Yeah, well,
that was worrying time, wasn't it?
Yeah, Mark says Shelby needs to be on the bench. We'll just run through these comments. Bede says, soon as saying the top 6 shouldn't be punished. A bit of biased commentary of the highest order, without a doubt. Steve Bruce is back again with Shelby as a midfielder like Fabinho, Thiago, and Henderson. Kiss my ass, Steve Bruce. David says Voldemort needs to go and find Harry Potter. Train son Brucey, he's also a baldy like Sinead O'Connor, but I wouldn't want to hear him sing Nothing Compares to You. And he's back again. You're all invited. NP is rumoured to stay. Party at Ashton Gate and drinks on me. 2 drinks per person. There is also an exclusive for John and Joe Linton as a couple. Well, that's very kind of you, Annie.
We'll appreciate that.
Definitely. Chipper says to Annie, nah, it's okay. We don't want to go to that shit heap. Beat says, Paul, we were like in the Dad's Army when we had Barnes, Rush and Pierce. Yeah, we were. And that's what I mean by it. It was like St. James's Park was like an old folks home. James says, is Shelby in Peter's photo album or is it just for former Mackhams? I don't know who we may see Peter's, Peter's watching tonight. So, we do need more photos, Peter. Obviously, the people out there wanting to see you with some other players. So, it's up to you, mate. Mark says Wilson really does need to start. He's got to, Jade, surely.
I mean, it's one of them feels a bit like, oh, Bruce did a really good thing by starting kind of Wilson again, like the inspired substitutions against Burnley. He's going to have to be mad not to, but honestly, I've got a horrible, horrible feeling he's going to start with the same team started against West Ham, and he's going to start Joe Linton up front again, and it worries us because Wilson isn't the type of player that I think can come on and make an impact, especially against a team like Liverpool. I feel like Wilson needs time to get into the game to kind of get running at the back four. He's got to, in my opinion. There is no other way around it. But obviously, knowing Steve Bruce as long as we have, who knows who he starts? Like,
I totally agree. Yeah,
I have no idea. Like every week I come in, I don't know the 11 he's going to put on that pitch. And
it'll be interesting come
crazy.
11:30 tomorrow. Twitter will probably be in uproar again. James says Steve Bruce is a cracking fella, proper football man, says Robbie Savage. Yeah, the great world-class footballer that was Robbie Savage. Martin says give him a Cleveland Steamer going away present. Martin, it's not a Monday. It's not a Monday. We have ladies on the show. Dino says, who'd have thought a few months ago that Joe Linton could be keeping Wilson out of the starting lineup? Yeah, good point.
I think we all knew with Bruce.
Oh God, can you imagine? I'll go ballistic if he's in the starting lineup ahead of Wilson tomorrow. There's no reason for Wilson not to start.
Absolutely not. He's had two subs performances now, so you'd think his fitness would be up to scratch to start. And like I say, he's probably not going to get a full game. Then take him off at 70 minutes. He's had like a good run out. You need him for most of the game, not to come on as an impact sub this time. You need to have him there as a kind of like a hit man to kind of get the balls up, a target man to try and get something towards him so he can have a run at the players. Because I think the Joe Linton, his hold up play isn't the greatest. And for me, he loses the ball far too often. And when you're kind of against the Liverpool midfielders and defenders, like that's not going to sit this time. You're going to have to literally go all guns blazing. Because what you got to lose at the end of the day, we're expected to lose. I do think we're pretty much safe now, but a couple of more points would go a long way. So just give it a go. Because you can't defend against them really with our defence, so just give it a go. But he won't, and that's the sad thing.
Yeah. Jake says Robbie Savage went to the Steve Bruce School for twats. Fair enough. Kendo says smash the like button as hard as Luton Town will smash Bristol City on Sunday. Sorry, Annie. If you are enjoying the show, guys, we're coming to the end now. So if you have enjoyed it, do smash the like button. And if you're new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. And also check Jade out on Twitter. That her Twitter handle is right in front of you, so I don't have to read it out. So there you go. Do give her a follow on Twitter. And I'm sure she'll follow back. Happy Feet says, I hope NUFC never gets involved in something like I'm presuming meant the ESL, because we've been in the EFL a couple of times and we don't want to go back there. Mark says, Paul, Paul, do you think St. Maximin would be with us next season? Jade, I'll let you answer that.
I do. Yeah, I think next season, I think he will. I think I mentioned before a couple of Tuesdays ago, I think he likes to be the star man in the team. And I struggle to see the likes of the big top six coming for him. But I think he may be swayed by like an Everton or a Leicester who can push for Europe. Even in a West Ham team, to be honest, where they're playing. Imagine him and Lingard together would be an absolute dream. So I think, do you know what breaks my heart is that he does love it here. I think he genuinely does love Newcastle and he loves playing for us and he loves the fans. The fact he has on Twitter is beyond anything I've seen from a footballer. He loves interacting with all of us, and I would love to see that he would still be here. But in my heart to heart, I'm thinking, what can we offer him to say? Like, we offered him a 6-year contract, but that was just literally to get more money for him when he does go. And it does break my heart because I would love to see him here for years, but we can't offer him anything. We offer him relegation scraps every year until we get taken over. So I wouldn't blame the kid. I wouldn't blame any of them. Him, Mickey, Wilson. I wouldn't blame any of them for leaving, but it would still break my heart. I hate to see a good player leave. Yeah,
totally. Ryan says Kev, Paul is saying how it is. Don't worry, Ryan. Kev's he's obviously a troll. Because he very rarely comments. So probably a Mackham. Yeah. I mean, obviously you can see how damaging it's been to me and Jade. We are spilling our guts out, crying our eyes out here at that comment. Give it. Never mind. Ryan over in Canada says,
Hi,
I
Ryan.
presume he's backing up the other Ryan, which is very nice.
Stick together.
Newcastle Fans TV, good evening to you. Shelby said in a Zoom interview that stats back him up in terms of running, why he's in the side. Yeah, it's absolute tosh, to be honest. The man has talked so much bullshit. I think he's listened to Steve Bruce's press conferences too much. I really do. Ryan says, can I compare Fraser and John Linton? Because one played every one game, plays hardly ever a game, both still shit. Fair enough. Happy Feet says, I think most of the players on loan will just be put back out on loan when they're like Muto. I would love to see Muto given a shot, to be honest. I was a big fan of him when he was here. And as for Lejeune, I'd love to see him back. Again, I just don't know what's going to happen. It depends. You know, this is going to be a big summer, I think, for Newcastle. So we'll have to see what happens and go from there, really. Last couple of comments before and Paul, are your headphones too small for your head? They look like they're about to fall off your head. No, I keep them round the back for a reason. Just, you know, they're not too big because I can put them there and just extend them. There you go. But I like to keep them round the back and comfy. That's where they're comfortable. I'm sorry if that upsets you, Ryan, but that's the way it is. You Canadians might do it different. You wear your caps back to front all the time. You know, there's the strange things you Canucks do that, you know, can't be explained over here. Peter's back. Well, I may as well send all the photos I've had taken with players and you can have you say. That's not a bad idea, Peter. Just send me them on Twitter, mate, and I'm sure we'll get them on.
We'll rate Paul's photos.
Yeah, that's a good idea for the new Thursday night show that we're going to do. We'll get photo. We'll actually ask everybody to send the photos in of who they're with players, and we'll rate them from good to bad or just pure cheesy. I think that's one way to do it. Oh God, Chippers, what did he say there? That pic of you and Joe Linton. Let's do another charity raffle to chip in and buy ASM some robust shin guards. I think it's more than shin guards he needs. Peter remembered Jack Corbett. Yeah. Everton winning at Arsenal. Oh dear. Yeah, it is Canadian slang, lol, that didn't come out right. Okay, I'll let you off, Ryan. Mark says Chippers is awesome. Oh, don't big him up, man. Oh, God, his head's big enough already, man. Just testing to see if it'll make John jealous. Oh, God, it probably will. If the takeover is happening, Cashley will try and sell as many as he can before he goes. He will. He's just pissing Newcastle fans off. Can you make sure you have John's bedroom pick available for the Horseman, please? Yeah, it was on last week's as well. You know, whatever went on before he came on the show, it was clearly sexy time, shall I say? The bed was looking a little dismantled.
That was the nicest way you could ever have said that.
Yeah, I mean, we're after 9 o'clock. I could probably say it how it. You know, I don't want to. You know, you're on the show, Jade. I'm not going to be like that. You know what I mean? I have. Well, I know, but I have respect. But then again, you've sworn loads of times tonight, haven't you? It'll be that wine.
It's the wine. It's the glass of wine.
By the way, your cat's made an appearance again, sitting over your shoulder.
There's 3 of them, so they'll pop up. They like to be famous.
All right. Yeah, they're fine, don't worry. At least they can't talk. Hi, Paul, mate. How's you doing? I'm okay, Jonathan. Hope you're well, mate. Great stream as always, folks. Thank you. Ryan's hair's too small for his head. There you go. Right back at you, Ryan. Yeah, I've got somebody on my side there. Cheers, Tony. Right, that is it for tonight's press conference reaction show live. I hope you've really enjoyed it. Tomorrow is obviously a big game. It always is against Liverpool. There's bound to be goals. Jade, before we go, give us a prediction.
I'm sticking with me 1-1.
You're going with 1-1 still?
Very happy with that. Yeah.
My heart says 2-2. My head says 3-1 Liverpool. So it'll be interesting to see. So yeah. Jonathan saying, Paul, you're going now? Yeah, well, we started an hour ago. So, you know, you can watch the rerun, though. It'll be available straight away. So if you want to go back and watch that, that's fine. But thank you to everybody that's joined in on the show tonight. I've really appreciated, as usual, great banter in the comments, which there normally is. So it's been great. And the Four Horsemen on Monday night will not contain Chippers because he's at work. So we might get a cleaner show this week. But then again, we might not. So we'll just have to see. Tomorrow, I've got the live reaction straight after the match, 2:30 tomorrow. So join me for that. I was going to ask you, Jade, if you fancied doing it with me. The live reaction. Are you available?
Yes, I am available. Yes, I'll be watching the match.
Good. So Jade will be co-hosting. So we'll see what kind of bad moods we're in after the game tomorrow. But we'll see.
Yeah, I might not be very talkative, but
yeah,
might be
just
a lot
more like
swear words
smashing
then.
things up and throwing the cat around behind you, and But we'll see. But thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Have a good night, and we will see you for the live reaction tomorrow. In the meantime, take care. Good night.
Bye, guys.
Be strong.